Part 30.6. Surah Ar-Rum, the Romans Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome back to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed. This section will cover Surah Ar-Rum verses 26 through 30, which transition from the signs of creation to a profound theological discussion on the universal sovereignty of Allah, the falsity of Shirk associating partners with Him, and the imperative command to adhere to the true, primordial din religion, emphasizing the unchangeable nature of Allah's creation and law. We have traversed the historical prophecy, plumbed the depths of human heedlessness, witnessed the certainty of the Day of Judgment, and contemplated the intimate signs of Allah's power in creation. Now, Surah Ar-Rum enters a segment of profound theological consequence, moving from observation to declarative decree. This section, covering verses 26 through 30, is a magnificent affirmation of Tawhid, the oneness of Allah, and a decisive refutation of Shirk polytheism. It establishes the universal law of submission across the cosmos, employs a brilliant analogy from human social dynamics to expose the folly of Shirk, and culminates in the magnificent command to adhere to the true, primordial dinla nature of Allah Fiṭrah. The entire passage serves as the intellectual and spiritual apex of the surah's argument, compelling the listener to recognize that true devotion is not merely a belief system, but a total alignment with the unchanging, perfect blueprint of existence that Allah has imprinted upon the creation. For the student of Ilm, these verses are the blueprint for spiritual, intellectual, and social sanity. Universal sovereignty and the folly of Shirk Kanzel Iman. Quran. Surah Ar-Rum, the Romans, chapter 30, verse 26. And to Him belongs whatsoever is in the heavens and the earth. All are obedient to Him. This verse is a majestic, universal declaration of divine sovereignty Rubayah that provides the ultimate context for all the signs previously discussed. The first part is an absolute statement of ownership. And to Him belongs whatsoever is in the heavens and the earth, while lahu, manef, asam dawidi, wa, alar. This is a comprehensive inclusion of every entity, both animate and inanimate, conscious and unconscious, vast and minitunder, Allah's singular and unchallenged ownership. Logically nullifies any claim to independent power, authority, or divinity by any other entity. Everything is His property, governed by His exclusive, continuous command. The second part describes the existential state of all these possessions. All are obedient to Him. Cullen lar, kitten. The word kitten is crucial here. It signifies a deep, unwavering obedience and submissiveness, a total existential cant. This obedience is not a conscious choice for most of creation like the stars, the planets, or the natural elements, but rather an innate, essential necessity. Everything in the cosmos is operating flawlessly according to the laws of Allah, both physical and metaphysical, demonstrating a perfect, continuous submission. The sun does not refuse to rise, and gravity does not cease its function. The profound implication for humanity, the only creation given the power of moral choice, is that conscious submission Islam is merely the conscious alignment with the universal law that everything else is already compelled to follow. Thus, the deliberate rejection of Tawhid is not only an act of spiritual rebellion, but a chaotic disharmony with the entire created order, setting the individual against the very fabric of existence. The verse establishes submission as the default state of the cosmos. Kanzul Aman, Quran, Surah Ar-Rum, the Romans, chapter 30, verse 27. And He is the one who originates the creation. Then He repeats it. That is easier for Him. And His is the highest example in the heavens and the earth. And He is the Almighty, the All-Wise. This verse powerfully reiterates the argument for resurrection and finality, drawing a final, strong conclusion from the previous discussions of creation 30 to 11 and the signs in nature 30 minutes and 19 seconds. The primary affirmation is repeated, and He is the one who originates the creation. Then He repeats it, Wahua, Alad Gabda, Alkalka, Thuma, Yuda. This reiteration serves to solidify the theological link. The power of resurrection is merely the continuation of the power of creation. The crucial addition here is the definitive statement, and that is easier for Him, Wahua, Owanu Ale. This statement is a direct, subtle, yet profound rhetorical refutation of the disbeliever's logic. While nothing is truly difficult for Allah, the use of the term easier, Awan is an appeal to the human standard of analogy. In human experience, repeating a task is always easier than initiating it. Since Allah has already initiated creation from nothing, its repetition, the resurrection, is, by human standards of logical difficulty, deemed easier. This destroys the intellectual argument of the deniers. The verse then pivots to a transcendental declaration. And His is the highest example in the heavens and the earth, Wallahu al-mathulu Allah. Allah, 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 Allah. The highest example, al-mathulu Allah, Lahu, refers to Allah's perfect, matchless attributes, His complete transcendence, and His sublime beauty. This declaration shatters any anthropomorphic notions of the Creator and refutes the possibility of associating partners with Him. The verse concludes by anchoring all these truths in two of His majestic names, and He is the Almighty. The All-Wise Wa, Huwa, Alazual, Akim. He is Alazuz the Almighty, signifying the irresistible power to execute the resurrection and all His decrees. And Al-Akim, the All-Wise, ensuring that every command, every creation, and every instance of justice is founded upon perfect, flawless wisdom. These names confirm that the divine plan, including creation, resurrection, and judgment, is enacted with both absolute power and perfect purpose. Kanzelaman, Quran, Surah Ar-Rum, the Romans, chapter 30, verse 28. He presents to you an example from yourselves. Do you have partners among your slaves who have a share in what we have provided you, so that you are equal in it? Do you fear them as you fear each other? Thus do we explain the signs for a people who use their intellect. This verse provides one of the Quran's most brilliant and devastating analogies to expose the irrationality and sheer folly of shirk. Allah presents a parable from yourselves, Mathal and Min, and Fusikum, using the easily relatable human experience of ownership and status to shame the polytheists. The question is posed: do you have partners among your slaves who have a share in what we have provided you, so that you are equal in it? Halakam min, mamalakat, aminakam, min shirak, afma, raza, komfo, antum, foe sab. In the stratified society of Mecca, where individuals held slaves, no master would ever consider their slaves equal partners in ownership or management of their own personal wealth. The master retains the absolute right and authority over his property. The polytheists instinctively protect their own sovereignty and wealth from encroachment by those of a lower status. The second question intensifies the argument. Do you fear them as you fear each other? Skafadikam and Fusakam. Of Fusakam, they certainly do not fear their slaves in the same way they fear their peers or competitors. The analogy is a direct challenge. If you mere human beings refuse to share your limited, temporary, and dependent wealth and authority with your own slaves, who are also human, then how can you dare to associate partners with Allah, the absolute sovereign, the creator of all wealth, and the true sustainer? This is the ultimate intellectual contradiction. They deny a slave equality with a master in the dunya, but they elevate a dependent creation to the status of an equal partner with the creator in the Akira. The irrationality is laid bare. The verse concludes with the purpose of this analogy. Thus do we explain the signs for a people who use their intellect kadun lika, nuarifu, aljaiti, li komin, yakiln. The audience is specified as those who use their intellect, yakiln, implying that the rejection of shirk and the acceptance of Tawhid is not just a matter of faith, but the most logically sound and intellectually necessary conclusion. The true student of ilm must deploy his highest mental faculty, aql, to grasp this self-evident truth. Al-Aman, Quran, Surah Ar-Rum, the Romans, chapter 30, verse 29. Nay, but those who are wrongdoers follow their own vain desires without knowledge. Who then can guide him whom Allah leaves astray? And they shall have no helpers. Following the unassailable logical proof against shirk, this verse delivers the verdict on those who persist in polytheism and denial. It declares that their choice is not based on rational inquiry or intellectual conclusion, but on raw, unfounded adherence to personal whims. Nay, but those who are wrongdoers follow their own vain desires without knowledge. Bali Ataba, Aladna, Alamdar, Ahum, by Gary Illman. These wrongdoers, Alamda, are primarily the polytheists and disbelievers who committed the ultimate wrong against their own souls, olnafs, by associating partners with Allah. Their rejection of the truth is attributed to two factors: vain desires Allahum and a lack of knowledge by Gary Illman. Their desires, such as pride, tribal loyalty, adherence to ancestor worship, and the wish to avoid moral responsibility, override their intellect, leading them to follow whims that are entirely devoid of ilm. The verse then pronounces the devastating consequence of this willful rebellion. Who then can guide him whom Allah leaves astray? Faman, Yatman, Allah, all. This is a rhetorical question asserting the absolute finality of the divine decree for those who have irrevocably sealed their own hearts. Allah only leaves astray those who have decisively chosen misguidance and rejected every sign and every proof presented to them. Their persistent choice to follow Allah without ilm, removes them from the path of Hidayah guidance. The conclusion of their fate is absolute, and they shall have no helpers. Wa ma lahum min, na earn. This reiterates the final judgment established in verse 13, confirming that just as their false intercessors will fail, there will be no one, no tribe, no idol, no earthly power to protect them from the inevitable execution of divine justice. Their reliance on falsehood leaves them utterly alone and abandoned in the face of the Almighty. Kanzalim on Quran, Surah Ar-Rum, the Romans, chapter 30, verse 30. So set your face to the din, being upright, the nature of Allah, upon which He originated mankind. There is no change in the creation of Allah. That is the correct din, but most of mankind know not. This is one of the most magnificent foundational verses in the Quran. Serving as the ultimate spiritual directive of the surah, it is an imperative command to the believer. So set your face to the din, being upright, Akim wajaka liadini, and feb. The act of setting the face, ikmat al-waj, signifies a total, sincere and unwavering focus, an existential commitment of one's entire being towards the din, the religion way of life. The word upright, A and FB, means turning away from all false paths like shirk and committing entirely to the pure, singular path of Tawhid. The din to be followed is then identified with the very essence of existence, the nature of Allah upon which He originated mankind, Fiṭrah, al-Hi alat, alada, anasa, alabe. The nature of Alafia is the pure, primal, intrinsic constitution upon which every human being is created an innate tendency and spiritual inclination towards the recognition of Allah's oneness and the desire to worship Him. Tawhid is not an acquired alien concept. It is the original blueprint of the human soul. The din is simply the system that nourishes and activates this original fire. The verse then emphasizes the immutability of this reality. There is no change in the creation of Allah, la tabdra, la khalqi. The fire cannot be permanently altered. Though it may be obscured by sin and conditioning, its core remains intact. The din is inherently true because it perfectly corresponds to the unchanging, perfect nature of the human being and the law of the cosmos. This is why it is declared, that is the correct din danlika adinu el-qaim. It is the straight, established, and unswerving way. The verse closes with the melancholic observation that has shadowed the entire surah. But most of mankind know not walakina akiya and niyasai alamni. Their failure is a failure of ilm and Fiṭrah. They fail to recognize the ultimate truth that is both externally manifest in the signs and internally inscribed on their own souls. Hadith. This section culminates in the glorious declaration of the Fiṭrah nature of Allah in verse 30-30, asserting that every human being is born with an innate inclination towards Tawhid. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, taught every child is born on the Fiṭrah, natural disposition to monotheism. But his parents convert him to Judaism or Christianity or Zoroastrianism. As a sheep is safely delivered by its mother, have you noticed any of its limbs being cut? Sahih al-Bukhari, 1384, the Book of Funerals. This hadith is the most direct and crucial commentary on the Quranic statement, the nature of Allah upon which He originated mankind. The Prophet, peace be upon him, confirms the theological assertion by explaining the primal innocence of every newborn child, who is inherently predisposed to recognize and worship the one Creator. The subsequent deviation into shirk or other forms of misguidance symbolized by Judaism, Christianity, and Zoroastrianism in the context of the Prophet's time is attributed not to an original flaw in the soul's design, but to external environmental and social conditioning, primarily the influence of the parents or the prevailing societal culture. The beautiful analogy of the sheep that is born whole not mutilated is a powerful metaphor reinforcing the Quranic statement. There is no change in the creation of Allah. The fire is born perfect. Corruption is acquired. This hadith thus emphasizes that the command to set your face to the din is a call to return to one's own pristine, authentic, spiritual core, stripping away the layers of conditioning that have obscured the innate light of Tawhid. The true seeker of ilm is essentially seeking to recover his own original, untarnished spiritual nature. Let us now supplicate, drawing from the profound lessons of these verses, asking Allah to grant us a deeper understanding and to guide our every step. O Allah, Ar-Rahman, and Ar-Rahim, we acknowledge that to you belongs whatsoever is in the heavens and the earth, and all are obedient to you. Purify our hearts, so that our conscious submission aligns perfectly with the total obedience of your entire creation. We affirm that you originate the creation, then you repeat it, and we beg for the highest example of your mercy. Knowing that you are the Almighty, the All-Wise in all your flawless decrees. Protect us, O Lord, from the profound error of the wrongdoers who follow their vain desires without knowledge, and shield us from becoming those whom you leave astray due to willful rebellion against your truth. We take refuge in your guidance, and with absolute commitment, we set our face to the din, being upright, seeking to live fully in accordance with the pure nature of Allah, upon which you originated mankind. Preserve our inner Fiṭrah from the corrupting influences of society and tradition, and make us among the few of mankind who truly know the correct and unchangeable truth of your oneness, your Tawhid. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine ilm. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. May the peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May He grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth. And may your work be a testament to His magnificent names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Amin.